Hey, before anything else, can I ask you a quick favor? Your subscription is what keeps this channel alive. If you've ever felt something from this story or any of the others, or if this channel has ever made your day better, please make sure to hit that subscribe button. It helps me way more than you can imagine. Now, let's get into the story. The storm began before the sun had even disappeared behind the cliffs. Thunder cracked like bones splitting in the sky, and the wind screamed through the narrow, cobbled alleys of the village, as if warning the people below of what was to come. Elena stood barefoot in the rain, soaked to the skin, hands bound loosely in front of her with braided seaweed and ribbon, symbolic restraints, tradition said, not meant to hold but to honor. The women on either side of her did not meet her eyes. They wore long dark cloaks, hoods heavy with water, and masks carved from driftwood. Their silence felt heavier than the wind. Elena had seen this exact ceremony painted in old murals, half-faded on the temple walls near the harbor, always described in whispers like it belonged to a time no one really believed in anymore. A virgin girl, offered to the sea when the storms would not cease. A life given in exchange for peace. It had always felt like myth. Until now. Her mother hadn't cried when they came to take her. Just turned her face away, as if Elena were already a memory. The village had been battered for weeks. Boats shattered, crops drowned, 2 children swept away by sudden floods. Desperation had turned superstition into doctrine. And Elena? Elena had always been too quiet, too strange, too curious about the stories no one else wanted to hear. She was the obvious choice. A convenient sacrifice. Atop the cliff, the wind nearly shoved her back. The women behind her chanted low and toneless, voices half-swallowed by the storm. Lightning forked across the sea. The water below churned like something alive. Elena's heart pounded, but not from fear. She felt anger. Rage. Not at the sea or the storm or even the villagers, but at the way they looked through her. Like she was already gone. Like she had never mattered enough to mourn. Do it quickly, someone whispered behind her. Before she changes her mind. Elena opened her mouth to say something, anything, but the push came first. Sudden. Cold. Final. The world tilted. The sea swallowed her. She fell like a stone through the fury of the water, the noise rushing into her ears until there was only silence. She waited for the panic, for the burn in her lungs. But it didn't come. Her eyes opened. She could see. She could breathe. And she wasn't falling anymore. She was floating, weightless, warm, as if the ocean itself held her in cupped hands. Above her, the surface was dark and distant. Below, a faint light pulsed, beckoning. She drifted toward it. The walls of the cave rose around her like the mouth of some massive creature, but instead of fear, she felt a strange calm settling in her bones. Her bare feet touched stone. The water receded like breath exhaled. And then she saw her. A woman stood at the center of the cave pool. Not human. Not entirely. Her skin shimmered like mother of pearl in moonlight, and her hair floated around her shoulders like strands of kelp. Eyes like storm-swollen oceans locked onto Elena's, and something ancient and unbearable moved through the space between them. You are not afraid, the woman said, voice like a current beneath the surface. Elena blinked. Her lips parted, voice hoarse from salt. Should I be? The woman tilted her head. They never speak. The others. Not when they arrive. The others? The offerings. The girls. Elena's breath caught. Did you kill them? A pause. No. Then where are they? Far. Safe. I do not kill sacrifices. I relocate them. Why? The woman moved closer, bare feet silent on stone. Because I was not always a monster. Then what are you? The woman smiled, and it was not cruel. It was sorrowful. I was once called Narita. Before the curse. Before the silence. I am the sea's daughter, chained by promises made in blood. Elena swallowed. Why did you let them throw me? I had no choice. You always have a choice. Narita's eyes widened slightly, something unreadable flashing behind them. You speak boldly. Maybe I've never had anything to lose. You have your life. Elena shook her head. They took that from me the moment they decided I was disposable. Nerita stepped closer. You don't fear me. You look lonely, not terrifying. A long silence. Then, no one has stayed by choice before. Elena didn't answer. Her heart beat wildly, not from fear, but from something sharp and new taking root in her chest. Nerita extended a hand.
Come.
I will show you what lies beneath the waves. Elena of the cliffs. Will I drown? Only in things that are true. Elena took her hand. The water that surrounded Elena was nothing like the sea she had grown up fearing. Here it was light and silk and breath. She held Nerita's hand, and with each step deeper into the passage beneath the cave, the pressure of the ocean seemed to part for them. Bioluminescent plants clung to the rock walls, glowing softly in blues and greens, and creatures unlike anything Elena had ever imagined darted past them in shimmering currents. Yet none of it frightened her, because Nerita held her, and Nerita had not let go. Elena didn't know how long they walked, if it was minutes or hours, but eventually the rock tunnel opened into something vast. A dome of translucent stone, glowing from within. The water around them shimmered, but didn't touch her skin anymore. They were walking, somehow, at the bottom of the ocean, yet breathing freely. Where are we? Elena whispered. This is the shell, Nerita answered. My sanctuary. My prison. My home. Elena turned slowly, drinking in the massive hall. Coral grew in fractal patterns along the arches. Strange metal artifacts rested on pedestals, gifts, perhaps, or memories. The floor was warm under her feet, like living skin. It's beautiful, she said. Nerita watched her with an unreadable expression. You think me a monster, but still you admire the cage. I don't think you're a monster.
No.
I think you're lonely. Nerita's jaw clenched.
What did they tell you about me?
The ones above. Elena shrugged. That I was to be sacrificed. To stop the storms. And you believed them? I didn't believe anything, Elena said. I just gave up. Nerita stepped closer, her presence overwhelming, her eyes glowing like twin oceans under starlight. And now I'm curious. Curious? Why a being like you, powerful enough to split the sky, accepts chains placed centuries ago? Nerita's voice dropped. Because the sea remembers its promises. And I am of the sea. What promises? Nerita turned away, walking slowly toward a massive pillar shaped like a spiral shell. 8,000 years ago, I fell in love with a mortal queen. She feared death, and I swore I would protect her land forever if she gave me her name in return. Her name? Names of power in the depths. She spoke it aloud, and with that she bound me. I was young, foolish in love. I did not see the trap. So she used you?
Worse. She died.
But the pact remained. Every storm, every famine, every flood, her people cried to the sea for mercy, and the sea answered. With me. I could not refuse. They built rituals. Made me a god. But I am not. I am a prisoner. Elena's chest ached. And the girls? They come to die. But I will not let them. So I send them away, far from here, to lands that no longer believe in gods. But not me, Elena said. Nerita turned back to her.
No.
Not you. Why? Because you looked me in the eyes. Because you asked why. Because you're still here. Elena swallowed hard. So, what now? Nerita stepped so close their chests nearly touched. Now you choose. I can send you away. To a city where the sea is silent. You'll forget this. You'll forget me.
Or you stay.
And see what lies beneath more than just water. Elena didn't move. If I stay, what happens to me? I do not know. No one has ever stayed. Not willingly. But you want me to? I don't know what I want, Nerita said, her voice shaking for the first time. But I know what I fear. That if you leave, this place will turn cold again. That I will return to centuries of silence. That I will forget the sound of my own name. Narita, Elena whispered, and the name tasted like salt and fire on her tongue. Say it again, Narita breathed. Narita. The goddess shuddered like a wave breaking on stone. Elena reached up and cupped her face. You've kept others safe. You've taken nothing from anyone. But when do you get to live? I don't remember how, Narita whispered. Then let me stay. Teach me your world, and I'll teach you mine. Narita leaned in, lips trembling. You are not afraid. No, Elena said. But you are. Terribly. Then kiss me anyway. Narita did. Slowly.
Carefully.
Her lips were cool and tasted faintly of salt and something older than time. Elena felt the kiss bloom through her like bioluminescence, like a current wrapping around her ribs and lighting up every dark thing inside her. When they pulled apart, Narita looked stunned. That, she said, voice low, was not part of the curse. Maybe it's part of the cure. Narita laughed softly, and it sounded like waves breaking gently on a shore. She reached for Elena's hand.
Come.
There is more I want to show you. The library of drowned cities. The gardens that grow in shipwrecks. The cavern where I keep the stars. You have stars? Only the ones that fell for me. Elena smiled. Then maybe I'm exactly where I was meant to be. Elena had never known silence, could feel so alive. In Narita's world, silence was never empty. It breathed, it pulsed, it shimmered around her like the light that flickered through the water above. Each day passed without measure, without clocks or calendars, only marked by the way the tide shifted through the walls of the sanctuary, the way the glow in the coral dimmed and brightened like the heartbeat of something ancient. Elena moved freely now, her lungs no longer questioning the air beneath the sea. She wandered through the cavern halls, through gardens woven from seaweed and pearls, through libraries etched into stone with symbols she didn't understand. Sometimes she would find Narita sitting still for hours, as if she were listening to something Elena could not yet hear. And sometimes, Elena would sit beside her, not speaking, just letting their shoulders touch. Those moments felt like more than words. But something had begun to stir in the deep places of the sanctuary, something Narita would not speak of. There were nights when Elena would wake to find the water trembling, the lights flickering, and Narita's silhouette standing rigid at the edge of the dome, her back turned, her hair floating like a black storm behind her. What is it? Elena asked once, when the tremors had passed and Narita had returned to her bed, lying far too still. Narita didn't answer for a long time. Then, softly, the sea is growing restless. It remembers the broken pact. The one with the queen? Her descendants still live. The bloodline persists. And with each generation, the promise grows weaker, but the chains do not break. The storms come when the oath is strained, when the power falters, and the sea calls for a sacrifice to restore balance. Elena sat up, her pulse loud in her ears. But why now? Why me? Narita turned to her. Because you were meant to be the final offering, the one that closes the cycle. What happens if I stay? Then the curse may shift, rewire itself, bind in a new way. Bind to what? Narita's eyes met hers, steady and unreadable.
To you. To me.
To us. Elena swallowed. And if I leave? The storm will return. The pact will hold a little longer. But it will come again. And next time, it may not ask for one girl. It may ask for the entire shore. Elena stood, fists clenched. So you're saying I'm not just staying because I want to. I'm staying because the world depends on it. No, Narita said, rising with her. I'm saying that for the first time, you have a choice. And so do I. But it doesn't feel like a choice. Narita stepped closer. That's what love is sometimes. A surrender you offer freely, even when it feels like drowning. Elena looked up at her, the weight of it all pressing down on her chest. And what is this between us, if not another kind of curse? It's the first thing that hasn't felt like one, Narita whispered. You ask questions. You challenge me. You make me want things I forgot I could feel. Then tell me what you feel, Elena said, stepping close enough to feel the cool radiance of Narita's skin.
Right now.
No riddles. Narita's voice cracked. I feel terrified. Because you see me. Not the goddess. Not the sea. Just me. I see you, Elena said. And I'm not leaving. Narita's breath caught. She reached out and cupped Elena's cheek, her thumb brushing over her lips like a memory. You should, she whispered. But I won't. The kiss that followed was not soft. It was sharp, a clash of teeth and want and confusion, and aching years of silence finally breaking. Elena gripped Narita's waist, pulled her close until there was no water, no curse, no centuries between them. Only mouths and hands and the quiet, shattering relief of being seen. When they parted, Elena's lips were swollen, her breath uneven. I don't care what I was meant to be. Sacrifice. Solution. Whatever. I choose this. I choose you. Narita looked like she might weep. Then you have to know what that means. Love what you've seen so far and want to help me keep creating these awesome stories on this channel? Then subscribe and hit the bell. Your subscription supports the channel and makes sure you get more exciting stories. Tell me. There is a chamber deep in the trench. I've never brought anyone there. It's where the heart of the curse lives. If you truly want to stay, we must go there. Together. Elena nodded. Then take me. They left the sanctuary behind in silence, Narita leading them through tunnels Elena hadn't seen before. The water grew colder. The light dimmed. Creatures with eyes like lanterns watched from cracks in the stone. And then the world opened into darkness. A void so vast it made Elena's breath catch in her throat. Narita held her hand. Close your eyes, she said. And listen. Elena obeyed. At first, there was nothing. Then voices. Hundreds. Thousands. Echoes of girls long forgotten, of queens and sailors and children crying to the sea. Elena opened her eyes, tears already slipping down her cheeks. This is where you live. This is what I carry. It's too much. It always has been. Elena turned to her, gripping her hands. Then let me carry some of it. Narita shook her head. It could break you. Or free you. Narita pulled her close, forehead to forehead, salt tears mixing with the water around them. Then don't let go. Never, Elena said. The trench opened like a mouth beneath them, endless and black, swallowing the light as Narita led Elena downward. There was no bottom that Elena could see, just pressure, heat, and something old enough to make the bones in her body ache. Narita held her hand the entire way, and Elena noticed how her skin pulsed faintly now, like bioluminescent veins awakening under the surface, as if whatever waited for them below had begun to stir inside her already. The silence was heavier down here, like water so thick it hummed. Elena didn't speak. Neither did Narita. Words felt meaningless this deep, as though language had drowned centuries ago, and only instinct remained. They passed through a ring of jagged stone, and suddenly the world shifted. It wasn't water anymore. They stood in a vast chamber, dry, ancient, and glowing faintly from the walls. The floor was bone-colored coral, cracked and pulsing. At the center stood a structure like an altar, carved from black shell and coiled sea serpent bones. Elena's breath caught. What is this place? Narita's voice was barely above a whisper. The source. This is where the pact was sealed, where the curse feeds. It's alive. It's hungry. Elena stepped forward, drawn by a low thrum in the air, like the rhythm of a distant heartbeat that didn't belong to either of them. And it's tied to you? Yes. It's part of me now. It was created with my name, spoken in love and betrayal. It became the vessel through which the sea bound me. It doesn't want to let me go. Can it be broken? Narita looked at her with something like sorrow and wonder. Only if it chooses to. Or if something stronger than its hunger severs the link. Stronger than magic? Stronger than loneliness. Elena turned slowly, staring at the twisting patterns in the walls, the fossilized memories embedded in coral. What happens if I touch it? Narita's voice turned sharp. No, why? Because it will show you everything. It will know you. It will taste your blood and your love and your fear. It will decide if you are worthy. Elena's eyes locked on hers. Then let it see me. Narita stepped forward, grabbing her wrist. Elena, please. I need to understand you. All of you. You already see more than anyone ever has. But I want to feel it. I want to know what you carry. If I'm going to stay, I don't want to be protected from your pain. I want to share it. Narita's grip trembled. I don't know what it will do to you. I trust you. Don't. I already have. Elena broke free and placed both palms against the altar. A jolt of cold fire surged through her arms, down her spine, into the base of her skull. She gasped, but did not pull back. Visions rushed at her, waves crashing on blood-soaked cliffs.
Girls pushed into the sea, sobbing.
Narita, younger, her face unmarked by sorrow, laughing with a mortal queen whose lips whispered love and lies in the same breath. The shattering of a name across time. Chains made of promises. Silence used as punishment. Loneliness turned into legend. Elena saw all of it, felt all of it. The weight of immortality. The ache of being needed but never chosen. And beneath it all, the desperate hope that maybe, just maybe, this girl, this human, might be the one to stay. When the vision released her, Elena collapsed to her knees, panting. Narita caught her before she hit the floor. Elena, I'm fine, she rasped.
No.
You're not. I saw it. All of it. Narita cupped her face, voice cracking. You shouldn't have. I needed to. Why? Elena looked up at her, tears and defiance burning in her chest. Because now I don't just love you. I understand you. Narita froze. You will love me? Elena nodded. I think I started the moment you didn't let me drown. Narita's mouth parted, her lips trembling. No one has ever said that to me. Not in truth. Then let me be the first. Narita lowered her head, her forehead pressing gently to Elena's. Say it again. I love you. Again. I love you. Again. Narita. I love you. The world around them shifted. The chamber trembled. The altar cracked, just slightly, its pulse faltering. Narita gasped. It felt that. Good. No, Narita said.
You don't understand.
If it sees love, real love, it will try to consume it. Then let it try, Elena said. It won't win. Narita pulled her close then, kissing her like a storm. Desperate, wild, sacred. Elena kissed her back just as fiercely, her fingers buried in Narita's hair, her heart beating not in her chest but in the space between them. When they pulled apart, Narita's voice was low. You don't belong to the sea. Maybe not, but I belong to you. Narita's hands tightened around her. Then we'll face this together. The altar pulsed once, then again, then shattered. The moment the altar cracked, something ancient screamed. It wasn't a sound Elena could hear with her ears. It was deeper, a vibration in her bones, a pulse in the water, a cold flash behind her eyes. Narita stiffened beside her, eyes wide, the glow in her skin dimming for a second before flaring into a violent, blinding light. What's happening? Elena asked, voice shaking. Narita didn't answer immediately. Her gaze was locked on the shattered shell of the altar, now split down the center like a broken promise. The pulse had stopped. The humming silence had turned into something more dangerous, expectant, angry. The bond is fraying, Narita whispered. The curse, it's unraveling. That crack in the altar, it woke something. Woke what?
The sea.
Not just water and tides. The will that watches. The force behind the storm. It feels me slipping away. It feels you. Elena's stomach twisted. Can it hurt us? It can try. Narita grabbed her hand. We have to go.
Now.
They fled the chamber as the walls began to tremble, coral falling like snow around them, ancient carvings shattering under invisible pressure. The trench shook, and the deeper they moved, the more Elena could feel it, the wrath of something vast and jealous and primal curling around them like a noose. "Narita, I thought this was good," Elena said between panicked breaths. "I thought breaking the altar meant we were winning." "We are," Narita said. "But the sea doesn't want to lose. It wants control. It always has. You've undone part of the chain, but now it will fight to bind us both." "Why me?" "Because you loved me. And love rewrites the rules." They burst from the trench and swam through the tunnels, the water now cold, biting, pushing against them like hands trying to drag them back. When they reached the sanctuary, it was already changing. The dome flickered. The glowing coral had turned gray. The walls wept salt. Narita gasped, stumbling slightly. Elena caught her. "What's happening to you?" "It's taking pieces of me," she said, clutching her chest. "It's trying to force me back into silence, back into stillness." Elena pulled her closer. "Then let me speak for you." And she kissed her, not to comfort, but to anchor. The moment their lips met, the water stilled. Just for a second. Narita's glow surged again, her strength returning in a breath. "You stabilize me," she whispered. "You're rewiring the bond. Then we hold on. Together." But the sea was not done. The ceiling above them cracked. A whirlpool formed in the airless water, a vortex of rage and salt pulling debris and color from the sanctuary. Narita raised her hands, summoning the last of her strength to form a barrier, a dome of light around Elena.
"Go," she said.
"This might be your last chance. I'm not leaving you. If you stay, the sea will try to take you too, make you part of the curse. A new anchor." "Then let it try," Elena said, stepping through the barrier and grabbing Narita's face. "I'm not afraid of drowning anymore." Narita closed her eyes. "Then we fight, but not with violence, with truth." They turned together and walked into the eye of the storm inside the sanctuary. The vortex roared, the walls bent inward, and from the heart of the maelstrom emerged a figure. Not a god, not a monster, but a shape made of water and memory and the echo of every sacrifice ever given. It was faceless. But Elena knew exactly what it was. "You're the pact," she said. "The lie dressed as legacy." The figure didn't speak, but the sea shuddered. "You don't get to decide for her anymore," Elena said. "Or for me." Narita stepped forward. "I was loyal. I endured. But I will not be silent anymore." The figure surged forward, a wave of cold and hunger. Elena stood in its path. "Then take me," she whispered, "if love is the price." Narita screamed her name. The figure crashed into Elena, then froze. Not ice, not death, but stillness, like recognition. The sea pulled back. The vortex stilled, and the dome stopped shaking. Elena dropped to her knees, gasping, heart pounding. Narita rushed to her, gathering her in trembling arms. "You're alive," she whispered. Why would you?" "Because I needed it to see me. All of me. Not as a victim. Not as a savior. Just someone who chooses you." Narita kissed her then, sobbing, the glow in her skin blazing so bright it lit the chamber like dawn. The sea moaned around them, not in rage, but in surrender. "It's loosening," Narita said, holding Elena's face in her hands. "It's not gone, but it's yielding. You shifted something." Elena smiled through her tears. "Then let's keep breaking it. Together." Narita pressed her forehead to Elena's. "You are not what I expected. Neither are you. If I lose everything to be free, you're what I want to lose it for." Elena kissed her again. And for a moment, there was no curse, no sea, no fate. Only two women at the bottom of the world, choosing each other in defiance of everything they'd been told they were meant to be. When Elena woke, the water around her was still, warm, and quiet, too quiet. She was lying on the bed of smooth coral where Narita had carried her after the storm inside the sanctuary. Her limbs felt heavy, not from exhaustion, but from something deeper, like part of her had been cracked open and was still learning how to exist in this new shape. The walls of the dome pulsed faintly, color softer now, less frantic. The sea had stopped fighting, for now. She turned her head slowly and saw Narita sitting nearby, hair flowing like dark silk, her hands clasped in her lap as if she'd been waiting in silence for hours. "You're awake," Narita said, her voice low, raw. Elena nodded. Still breathing. Narita moved to her side. "You terrified me. You've stared down kings and curses for centuries, but I scared you?" Narita gave her a look full of affection and something more vulnerable, something Elena recognized now as devotion. "You offered yourself to the sea. You let it look inside you. It needed to see what you already saw in me." Narita reached out and brushed a strand of hair from Elena's forehead. Her touch was featherlight, but it made Elena's skin burn. "You changed it."
Somehow.
"The altar is still cracked. The curse is off balance. There's a shift in the current." "I've never felt anything like it." "Good," Elena whispered. "Let it be afraid for once." They stayed there for a while, bodies close, fingers laced, silence falling over them like a soft tide. Elena closed her eyes and listened, not just to the water, but to Narita's breath, the rhythm of her heartbeat through the glow of her skin, the quiet ache between them that now felt like a promise instead of a burden. "Tell me something," Elena said. "Anything." "When I was first bound here, I screamed into the sea every night. Not in words, just sound. I wanted it to echo back. I wanted to know I still existed. And now you breathe, and I hear myself again." Elena opened her eyes. "Then let's make sure you're never silent again." Narita leaned down and kissed her, slow and deep and grounding. It wasn't the kiss of a goddess. It was the kiss of a woman who had waited centuries to be chosen not as a myth, but as herself. And Elena kissed her back like it was the only language she remembered. But outside the sanctuary, something had changed. Above the surface, the storms had ceased so suddenly that the villagers panicked. The sea was calm, too calm. The tides no longer obeyed the patterns the fishermen relied on. Nets came back empty. Saltwater wells turned brackish. The elders met in the temple, whispering about omens, about balance, about broken promises. "She didn't die," one said. "I saw her vanish, not drown. Maybe the sea rejected her. Or maybe she woke something worse." In Elena's childhood home, her mother lit candles without knowing why. She stared at the sea every morning as if waiting for it to return what it had taken. And one night, when the moon hung low and red, the villagers saw lights far out in the water, deep, moving, alive. And they began to whisper Elena's name. In the sanctuary, Narita paused mid-sentence as if sensing something. "They're speaking of you," she said. "Above." "How do you know?" "The water carries memory. And rumor." "What are they saying?" Narita's eyes darkened. "That you didn't die. That the sea chose to keep you." "They're not wrong. But they don't see it as salvation.
They see it as theft.
A failure of the ritual." Elena sat up. "Then they'll try again, won't they?"
Maybe.
"Or worse, they'll try to retrieve you. Let them." Narita grabbed her hand.
No.
"You're not ready." "Then make me ready." Narita stared at her. "You don't understand what you're asking." "Yes, I do. If I'm going to be part of your world, I need to defend it too. You're still human. Not completely. Not anymore." Narita's expression shifted. Fear, awe, desire. "You're changing," she whispered. "Not in body, but in essence. You're sinking to the current, becoming something new. Then teach me how to survive it." Narita hesitated, then stood and offered her hand. "Come with me." She led Elena to a new part of the sanctuary, one carved into the bones of a fallen leviathan, its ribs forming arches overhead, glowing with pale light. At the center stood a shallow pool, mirror-like, unmoving. "Step in," Narita said. "What is it?" "It's not water. It's memory, a reflection of who you are. If you truly wish to belong here, you must face yourself beneath the surface." Elena didn't flinch. She stepped into the pool, felt nothing beneath her feet. No cold, no wet, only sensation. Her reflection rippled. And then it changed. She saw herself as a child, running along the cliffs. She saw her teenage self, angry, searching for meaning. She saw the moment she was chosen, the fear, the fire, and then Narita's eyes, reaching for her in the dark. And her own heart, not breaking, but blooming. The image solidified. Elena stood taller. Her eyes glowed faintly now. She was still herself, but clearer.
Sharper.
Aligned. Narita reached for her. You're beautiful. So are you. Narita drew her close. Their foreheads touched. You are no longer just a visitor here. Then what am I? Narita's voice was a vow. You are mine. The first warning came with the blood in the current. Narita froze mid-motion, her fingers wrapped around Elena's wrist as they walked the garden paths of the sanctuary. A single drop. Then two. Not hers. Not Elena's. But human blood, diluted, drifting like a whisper through the water. Narita closed her eyes. They're coming. Elena didn't need to ask who. The villagers had waited long enough. The silence above had turned their fear into fury. They'd seen the calm ocean not as mercy, but as betrayal. And now they had decided to reclaim what they believed was owed.
How?
Elena asked, voice steady but cold. They have no way to reach us. Narita's eyes opened slowly. They have relics, old tools, weapons forged in superstition and sharpened by fear. Things meant to hunt what they don't understand. Spears carved from bones soaked in salt. Fire that burns even underwater. And they have something worse. What? Faith. Elena's stomach twisted. Then we stopped them. They won't listen. I'm not asking them to. Narita reached up and touched Elena's face, her hand trembling. If they see you, they will try to take you. And if they hurt you, they won't. You're still partly theirs. They will see you as property returned. Then let them try. I'm not afraid of who I was anymore. Narita nodded slowly. Then we prepare. The sanctuary responded to Narita's will. Lights dimmed. Corridors shifted. Currents changed direction. The very architecture of the ocean moved around them, forming a shield. Elena followed her, helping where she could, learning how to anchor the flow with her thoughts. Her skin glowed faintly now, like Narita's, and her heartbeat pulsed in rhythm with the sea. She wasn't fully transformed, but she was no longer entirely human. That night, the assault began. The water trembled first, as if gasping. Then it ignited. Bursts of alchemical fire exploded in the tunnels above the sanctuary, fire that burned without air, consuming coral and memory alike. Narita screamed in fury, and the ocean rose with her. She summoned the current like a blade, crashing into the first wave of intruders, men in suits of hardened salt, faces hidden behind mirrored masks, their weapons glowing with unnatural light. Elena stood beside her, arms outstretched, channeling the pulse of the sea. She didn't throw power like Narita did. She called it, and the sea listened. The attackers stumbled. Their lights flickered. One by one, their weapons shattered. But more came, from above, from the cliffs, from the mouths of forgotten caves. And among them came something worse, an elder from the village temple, a man with a voice sharp enough to pierce the deep, carrying a relic that pulsed with the same energy as the broken altar. Elena saw it and froze. That's how they're reaching us, she said. That object. It's like a beacon. It's a key, Narita said, her voice like thunder. Forged with the queen's bloodline. It can unmake the sanctuary if they strike its heart. Then we stop it. You can't touch it, Narita said. You're still connected to their world. But you can, Elena whispered. Narita hesitated. If I destroy it, the sea might turn on all of us. Then don't destroy it. Claim it. Narita's eyes locked on hers. You're brilliant. I'm yours. Narita surged forward, the water wrapping around her like armor. She reached the elder just as he raised the relic. He shouted something, an ancient phrase meant to bind, to command. But Narita spoke back. Not in words. In power. In truth. She opened her chest and let the sea roar out of her. A pulse of light and rage and freedom so strong it shattered the relic into salt. The elder screamed as the force backlashed, flinging him into the shadows. The sanctuary shook, but didn't break. Narita collapsed. Elena caught her, arms wrapping tightly around her trembling body. "You did it," Elena whispered. "No," Narita said, voice fading. "We did." The attackers began to retreat.
Disoriented. Lost. The sea refused to guide them now.
The bond between land and water had shifted, and Elena was the fulcrum. Narita leaned into her, exhausted, skin dimming, eyes unfocused. "It's not over. They'll come again. Then we'll be ready." Narita looked up. "You were supposed to be a sacrifice. How did you become my savior?" Elena kissed her softly. "You saved me first. Now we save each other." They sank together into the quiet, the sanctuary slowly repairing itself around them. But something had changed in the deep. Something permanent. Elena could feel it in her blood. The sea didn't see her as an intruder anymore. It saw her as one of its own. And far above, on the cliffs of the village, Elena's mother stood in the dark, watching the ocean with wide, terrified eyes, because she had felt something shift inside her too. Something ancient. Something final. Her daughter was never coming back. For the first time since she had plunged from the cliffs, Elena dreamed. Not of drowning or screaming winds, not of villagers with knives or oceans with mouths, but of Narita's voice whispering her name like a tide that knew only how to rise. In the dream, she was not floating or falling. She was becoming. And when she woke, she knew it wasn't just a dream. Something had changed. The sanctuary was different now. Quieter, less reactive, as if the ocean itself was holding its breath. Elena sat up slowly, feeling the familiar warmth beneath her skin. Not hers, but Narita's. The imprint of her magic. But now, that warmth pulsed from inside Elena too, a steady rhythm like a second heartbeat. She looked down at her arms. The faint glow she had carried since touching the altar was brighter now. Lines of light threaded through her veins like silver filigree. Her reflection in the curved coral walls didn't lie. She was no longer only Elena. Narita stood nearby, silent, watching. "You've changed," she said softly. "You knew this would happen." "Yes. And you didn't tell me." Narita stepped forward. "Would you have stopped if I had?" Elena didn't answer. Because she wouldn't have. She reached out, and Narita came willingly, sinking to her knees in front of her, hands resting on Elena's thighs. "You were never mine to keep," Narita whispered. "But I kept you anyway. I'm selfish." "No," Elena said. "You're in love." Narita looked up at her, eyes shimmering.
Yes.
"And it terrifies me. Because love is what cursed me. Love is what bound me. And now love might take you away."
No.
"The curse might, but not love." Elena leaned down and kissed her, slow, reverent, deeper than anything they had shared before. Narita responded with quiet desperation, her fingers clutching Elena's hips as if to anchor herself. The kiss became a vow. And when they pulled apart, Elena rested her forehead against Narita's. "Tell me everything. No more pieces. No more shadows." Narita nodded, her voice barely above a breath. "The pact that binds me, it was forged with love, yes. But not just spoken love. It required a true offering. A mortal willing to give themselves fully. Body, heart, soul." Elena's pulse quickened. "And the queen gave you that?" "No," Narita said bitterly. "She faked it. She pretended. And the curse was flawed from the start. But now what we have, it's real. And the sea feels it. It's adapting. You're becoming the offering it always wanted." "You mean, if this continues, you won't just belong to me. You'll belong to the ocean itself." "Then we stop it." Narita pulled back, pained. "It's not that simple. The change is already happening. Your blood sings with my magic. You breathe water. You command it. And if you complete the transformation, the ocean will never let you go." Elena stood. Her legs trembled, not from fear, but from understanding. "Then there's a choice."
Still.
Somewhere. There might be. Narita moved to the edge of the sanctuary, staring into the open sea. But it's cruel. And I don't know if I'm strong enough to let you choose it. What is it? Narita's voice cracked. If I break the link between us, cut the tether, the sea will stop changing you. You'll remain human. But you'll forget me. Everything.
Me.
This place. What we were. And if we don't break it, then you will become like me. Eternal.
Bound.
Never able to return. Elena's chest burned. Not with panic, but with clarity. You're saying I either lose you, or I lose everything else. Narita nodded. I never wanted you to be a sacrifice. But it seems the sea will always demand one. So it wants my soul. Or our love. Exactly. Elena crossed the room, took Narita's face in her hands. You don't get to decide this alone. But I can't ask you. You're not asking. I'm offering. Like she never did. Like I will. Elena, I want you. Not just this magic. Not this place.
You.
Narita's tears fell soundlessly, mixing with the sea that wrapped around them. If we stay like this, you'll fade. You'll lose your past. Your humanity. But I'll have you. Narita kissed her again, trembling. Then promise me. If I begin to forget you, remind me. Every time. Every day, Elena whispered. Every breath. And as they stood there, wrapped in each other, the sea pulsed around them, not in rage, but in warning. The final reckoning was coming. The curse, old and dying, had one last demand. And somewhere in the deep, something began to awaken. Older than Narita, older than the pact, hungry for a last offering. The sea was not done. The water had never been this cold. Not even in the deepest trench where Narita had first shown Elena the broken altar. This cold was older, heavier, not of temperature but of memory, millennia compacted into stillness. Elena felt it before she saw it, a pressure behind her eyes, a whisper in her bones. Narita stood in front of her, perfectly still, her body glowing dimly, like a lantern struggling against the dark. It's coming, she said. Elena didn't need to ask what. The sea had gone silent hours ago, current still as glass, the sanctuary frozen in place. No light, no movement. Even the coral had curled into itself, as if bracing for something it had once known and learned to fear. Then it arrived. Not with a roar, not with thunder, but with silence so complete it split the water. A shape drifted into the outer edge of the sanctuary, a massive, fluid mass of black and gold, shifting, expanding, breathing without form. It had no face, no limbs. Only eyes. Thousands of them. Some human, some beast. All familiar. They blinked in unison, and then turned to Elena. Her knees buckled. Narita caught her. What is that? Elena whispered. Narita's voice cracked. It's the sea's memory. The first will. The one that began the pact. But you said, I said I was cursed by a queen. I never told you who whispered the idea into her mind. The mass floated closer. The sanctuary groaned. Every echo in the ocean curved inward toward that presence. It didn't speak. It didn't need to. Narita stepped forward, shielding Elena. It has felt the bond between us. The shift in power. It believes that I am the one who must go. Elena's breath caught. No, the pact has reversed, Narita continued. You are no longer the sacrifice. I am. Then we break the pact. Narita turned gently. We can't. Not now. Not when it's looking directly at us. Elena stepped forward beside her. Then we give it something else. Something it's never had. What? Choice. The entity pulsed. Every eye turned toward her. The water around them tightened. Narita pulled her back. It doesn't understand choice. It understands pattern. Ritual. Obedience. Then I'll teach it something else. Elena walked toward the edge of the sanctuary, her body still glowing, her heart slamming against her ribs. The entity watched. It didn't move. It simply waited. You've taken from us for centuries, Elena said, her voice steady. Bodies.
Names. Love.
You fed on fear, on tradition. But what are you without our belief? The eyes blinked again. She felt it probing her, searching her memories, her pain. Narita joined her. We're not giving you anyone, she said. Not her. Not me. The entity shuddered, the water cracking with invisible thunder. A voice finally echoed, not from it, but through everything. Then the sea will starve. Let it, Elena answered. If the price of your survival is us, then maybe it's time for your end. You were meant to die. And yet I live. And I choose her. Narita grabbed her hand. Then we choose each other. The entities surged. A wave of darkness burst through the sanctuary, wrapping around them, lifting them from the ground. Elena's body screamed in pain. Narita's glow flickered. But they did not let go. The water tried to tear them apart. The pressure cracked the walls. The past came pouring in, images of all the girls who had been taken, voices screaming in endless loops. Narita's history collided with Elena's blood. The sea's memory tried to rewrite the bond between them, to sever it, to make them forget. But Elena held Narita's face in her hands and whispered, "Look at me." Narita opened her eyes. "I'm here," Elena said. "You're here. You are not alone. You are not a curse. You are not theirs." And then, in the center of the storm, they kissed. It was not desperate. It was not gentle. It was final. A statement. A refusal. A promise. Their bodies locked. Their hearts aligned. The sea howled. The entity recoiled. It could not process this kind of power, not magic, not pain, but something messier, brighter, uncontainable.
Love.
Not as sacrifice, but as defiance. The entity screamed. The water shattered. The sanctuary cracked wide open, and the ocean above moved. For the first time in centuries, the surface stirred with the force of something ancient breaking. The curse, long hidden in ritual and myth, was rupturing. Narita gasped. Elena collapsed into her arms. "What did we do?" she whispered. "We refused," Narita said. "And it's dying." But the sea's memory had one last surge left. It rose behind them like a tidal wall, pulsing with rage and desperation. It wasn't about balance anymore. It was about survival. And it would take both of them to feed that hunger. Narita turned to Elena, face pale. "I have to go to it." "No, it's drawn to me. It wants me. If I let it take me, you'll be safe. And if I let it take me, you'll be free." Narita grabbed her. "I can't lose you. Then we end it together." They turned toward the wave, hand in hand. The sea roared, and they stepped into it. The wave swallowed them. Not like water, not like death. It was memory, darkness, silence, pain. All the lost girls, all the broken vows, all the centuries of offerings piled into a single moment of absolute stillness. Elena felt herself vanish. Not her body, her name, her breath, her certainty. She reached for Narita and found her, not by sight, not by sound, but by instinct. The bond between them glowed like a thread in the dark. She pulled. Narita answered. And then they weren't falling anymore. They were standing, somehow, on a flat plain of endless ocean, the sky above them starless, the water below impossibly still. The sea's memory loomed before them in its true form, a great, ever-shifting mass of eyes and mouths and ancient grief, speaking with no voice and every voice at once. "You are not meant to choose." Elena's voice rang out. "Then we unmake what was meant. You were given. Not anymore." Narita stepped forward. Her body was dim now, her magic cracked, flickering like a candle in the storm. "I was the first. I was the lie made flesh. I let them bind me. I let the sea use me. But I'm done." The entities surged. "You will destroy the balance." Elena stood at Narita's side. "Then we'll build a new one. Together." "You would end everything for love." Narita looked at Elena, and there it was again, that sharp, breathless ache that had begun with one shared look and now wrapped the entire ocean in its pulse. Yes, she said. Gladly. The sea's memory struck. A wave of force slammed into them. But they didn't fall. The bond held. The love held. Elena felt every heartbeat they had ever shared reverberate through her spine. The ocean cracked. The sky bled light. And then everything shattered. Not into destruction, but into silence. The pressure vanished. The pain dissolved. The sea's memory screamed, then crumbled, undone not by violence, but by something it had never learned to survive: refusal. Nerita collapsed. Elena caught her, pulling her close. You're still here, she whispered. So are you. Around them, the false ocean began to peel away, revealing the sanctuary, restored, glowing, warm. Above, the surface rippled with moonlight. Real moonlight. Not illusion. Not myth. The sea breathed again. Not as a prison, but as freedom. Nerita sat up slowly, her hand over her heart. It's gone. The curse. The voice. The bindings. Elena helped her stand. And you? I'm free. So am I. But then, the quiet truth passed between them. If the curse was broken, if the sea no longer demanded anything, then so too was the bond that had begun it. Elena felt it. The thread between them was no longer enforced.
It was a choice now.
One that could be remade or released. You can leave, Nerita said softly. Go back to the surface. Breathe air. Live years that pass normally. Touch ground. Forget the tide. Elena looked toward the dome's open edge, where the water rose like a path into the light. She could see the world up there, rooftops, stars, cliffs. A life. Her life. And you, she asked. What will you do? Nerita gave a small, trembling smile. I'll endure, as I always have. Elena stepped closer. You won't ask me to stay? Nerita shook her head. Not unless it's what you want.
Truly.
Without magic. Without myth. Just us. Elena's heart pounded. Not with fear. With clarity. She reached out, cupped Nerita's face, and kissed her, slow and sure, tasting salt and heat and every memory they'd made together. When they parted, Elena whispered, Then let me say it again. Let me choose. Nerita blinked, stunned. You're staying? I'm staying. But you're free. I am. And still, I choose you. Nerita broke. The tears came fast, silent, overwhelmed. Elena pulled her close, holding her through it. No more sacrifices, Elena whispered. No more cages. Only us, Nerita said. Only love. And from the sea, no voice rose to object. No storm came. No wave roared. The water simply held them.
Warm.
Gentle.
Alive.
Days passed. Then weeks. And the sanctuary changed, no longer a prison but a home. The coral bloomed. The current danced. And Elena, glowing now with light entirely her own, carved a space beside Nerita in the world beneath the waves. Sometimes, she swam to the edge of the ocean, stood on the cliffs above, and watched the village from afar. They never saw her, but they felt the shift. The salt air grew softer. The storms came less often. The sea, once feared, now whispered gently to the shore. One day, a girl stood at the edge of the rocks, staring into the waves. She was just like Elena had once been, afraid, curious, reaching for something she couldn't name. And she saw something in the water, a shimmer, a smile. Elena, watching, guarding, choosing. Nerita appeared beside her, lips brushing her ear. Are you ready to come home? Elena turned from the surface. Always. They disappeared beneath the water, hand in hand, hearts forever bound. No longer sacrifice and goddess. Just Elena. And Nerita. Two souls. One choice. One ocean. One love.